So yeah, like I was saying, where I was working in this place a few years ago, there's this couple. You know, they were elderly, of course, and they were being looked after and whatever. And I remember speaking to him one day, and he was basically saying to me how him and his wife had bought these plots of land for, you know, together, you know, so obviously when they go they can be buried together and whatever, because they were getting on, they were both in their 90s, you know. So yeah, they bought these plots of land, and he said this plots of land that he purchased, obviously it's X amount of money, you have it for 70 or 80 years or something, if you see what I mean, you know, and then obviously it's no longer yours anymore, if you see what I mean. They can use the land to bury someone else there, if you see what I mean. But like I said, what I was trying to say, the reason I said that is because, like I was saying, it all comes back down again to money. You know, you get these people buying up these big plots of land and saying, okay, we're gonna deem it off to be a cemetery. You know what I mean? Get all the legal requirements and everything else that are required in order to, you know, use it as a cemetery, if you see what I mean. So people can then come along and then buy a little plot of land from when they, you know what I mean. It's quite expensive. It's not cheap either, because it's just like anything funeral related, death related, like you were saying, it's quite expensive. So yeah, it comes back down again to money.
Yeah.
You know.
You know, when you got a bit of money, right, and your loved one's passed away, you want to buy a really nice coffin, whatever, yeah. Then you get a marble thingy, whatever, yeah, because you can afford it. Then you got to get that engraved, okay, which costs a fortune, by the way, because it takes a week to do, whatever, you know. All this.
Yeah. So masonry.
Right, yeah. But honestly, yeah, that's why we're so poor. Why have we got this?
Yeah.
You know, because like I say, 200 years time, right? So someone's engraving all this stuff on a marble thingy.
Yeah.
And then 200 years, people walking past forever, and they just don't give a monkey's about it.
They don't know who it is. Don't have no idea who it is. No connection.
Time's passed by, you know, and you know, it's like the war's going to be all. Do you know what I mean? One day, the Second World War, the First World War. You know, it's going to be 300 years old one day. Do you know what I mean? And people, you know, you still got all these monuments everywhere. You know, sort of reminding everyone that there was a war. You know, and I just think it's like a bit of a waste of money. That's all. Do you know what I mean? You know, and like I say, these schools scare me in a kind of way where we're just sort of like sending our. You think about it, yeah. So you're, you know, I mean, it's like my mum, alright, yeah. So my mum and dad split up when I was 3. Okay, my mum needed me, alright, and whatever. But then I got sent to school, and she's got to go to work.
Yeah. Yeah. Instant divide.
Instant divide. You know, I haven't got my mother anymore. Do you know what I mean? Yeah? Oh, I could see her at 5 or whatever. You know.
Yeah.
You know,
for a few hours before you go to bed, before you have
wake up, school again.
Yeah.
It's like you know, I couldn't be in my garden anymore.
Yeah.
Like I loved, you know, I was happy.
And it's to the point too today where even a lot of parents have to work weekends. So they still can't even those 2 days off that the kids might have at home.
Yeah.
The mother or father might have to go off to work.
Exactly, you know.
And I can say I can relate to that, because I sometimes a lot of time I work Saturdays and Sundays a lot of times as well.
So you can see where we are definitely treated like prisoners, if you ask me. You know, you know, like when I was born, I had birth certificates. You know what I mean?
And that's the big one. That a lot of people don't always talk about is the birth certificate.
Well, that means really I belong to someone. I got a ticket on me in a kind of way, you know, and it gives me my date when I was born. Yeah, and then like I say, when you die, the doctor will come round, you know, to find out why you died, whatever, you know, which is understandable really, you know. But they put a death certificate on you, and then people spend a good fortune burying you. You know, this thing is a business.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Big business, if you ask me. You know, and there's a lot of businesses that really, like for instance, guns. Like I said, it'd be good if they weren't invented in the first place, or it'd be good if we could take every gun business out to make this safer world. Yeah. Because the world would be safer if there's not one gun in this world. Yeah. Let's face it. You know, it'd be good if this generation coming up, right, think let's get rid of them. Yeah. You know, it was a mistake.
But unfortunately, from what I'm seeing at the moment, it seems like they're adopting it even more.
Wow. So it's like even kill ourselves.
It's like even when I grew up in the Caribbean. Yeah, I spent the first 20 years of my life raised, educated, grown up in the Caribbean. Yeah. It's only the last 5-10 years. Yeah, I say probably the last 5 years that I still follow like the news and stuff like from down there, if you see what I mean. Like on Instagram, there's an application that there's like the news from the, you know, where I used to live and all that type of stuff. But I've noticed in the last 5 years, I've noticed a trend where a lot of guns are being circulated, especially amongst the younger people, and that never used to be like that before, if you see what I mean. So now there's a lot more murders, a lot more.
Oh, look at these games,
like,
John.
And I think that, yeah, I think that doesn't help. That definitely doesn't help. Especially that one we were looking at the other day, where it was literally just kill, literally everything. The whole game was literally just kill, like just everything.
It was killing. Like, I couldn't understand it, you know.
There was no storyline, just.
I couldn't understand it, you know. Like if I gave my son that game, you know, when he was younger or whatever, when he was 14, you know what I mean? I think, hang on, what kind of mind is he going to have? You know what I mean? By the time he's sort of like 24. Yeah. It changes their mind. Like I said, like me with my brother, he played piano all the time, and I was sort of in the garden. Do you know what I mean? Different, you know.
Yeah.
And I think like if you're gonna play those sort of games, you know, it's dangerous in a kind of way. You're making the world more dangerous, you know, because you're not these people that, you know, children that play games like that all the time. They're not in the garden, are they?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, they're sort of like, you know, and you think, what kind of minds, you know, they're going, you know, it's like
a lot of children are becoming quite like reclusive, if you see what I mean. Like we were talking about earlier, like before we started the show, kind of like a lot of people have communication issues today. A lot of the younger people today have communication issues today, and social issues as well. Not only communication, but social issues. A lot of people are suffering from anxiety and all these different things a lot more than they used to today. Than they, you know, because a lot of people are just, you know, they're not really having a lot of like real, like face-to-face, real kind of like person-to-person interaction. A lot of people are communicating with people online. I'm talking more so the younger generation, of course, but they're communicating via online, via technology. They're not really, you know, a lot of them aren't really, you know, just having that, you know, getting outdoors together and having experiences together and having real conversations and real, you know, just bonding and, you know, without all the, you know, internet and phone and all that type of shit, just having a real, you know.
There's this sort of I was watching this sort of like on YouTube. There's this landlord, he's the only landlord in Britain that's banned mobile phones from his pub.
Okay. Yeah.
Right, and he's speaking about it.
Yeah.
And he was just saying basically I banned him because I want people to come in my pub and talk.
Yeah.
With each other.
Yeah, have conversations, not.
You know, and he noticed sort of when, you know, he banned it because I noticed that people were sort of arguing a little bit, you know, fighting and things, you know, and they weren't getting on so well because they're not talking to each other in there, they're talking to other people, you know. And so yeah, he banned it just to make it a more friendly pub, he said, or something, you know, to make it more social pub.
Yeah.
If you see what I mean. You can understand it a bit, you know, because like I say, you know, I mean, even my children sometimes, you know, when my son was 16, 17, sometimes he'd be sitting down sort of on his mobile or whatever, just looking at whatever, and I'd be talking to him on the internet from here, you know, and whatever, and that's kind of where we're looking at. You know, we're kind of like talking to other people, even when we're with people,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, and it, like I say, when I was younger, there wasn't any mobile phones.
And it's not only that, but like sometimes you see as well, sometimes like people sit down at the dinner table. Of course, not all parents allow it, and I was going to say, me and my wife are kind of that way inclined. We don't allow it. If you're going to sit at the dinner table and have a family meal together, we're going to talk. If you see what I mean, there's not going to be any tablets or any laptops or any mobile phones or anything around, you know what I mean, while we're having our dinner and having a conversation, you know, bonding, you know. But there are some parents that they don't always have so much control over their children and they're kind of their home, and they'll sit there at dinner and they'll be mother and father having a conversation, and the kids might be, one of them's glued to the phone, one of them's doing something on a tablet or an iPad or something, and you know they're having dinner, like, you know, no conversation, no, you know, it's, you know.
You know, like I say,
quite absurd.
School's kind of broken that bond in a funny way, you know, like they go to school, and they're starting to make bonds with other children.
Yeah.
You know, and you could be sort of like trying your best to, you know, bring, you know, you're trying your best with your son.
Yeah.
But he goes to school and he's mixing with children that are quite nasty.
Yeah.
You know, or got the parents, you know, do you know what I mean? You know, so he's got to put up with all those horrible people.
But that's where education comes in again as well. Like we always talk about, like even today, like even with my son, I talked to him about all these things. I said to you know, like we were talking about earlier, everyone's different. I had to say to him earlier, like, just because you might have friends or people around you, because obviously he's still quite young, he's only 10, you know, he's not even in secondary school, he's still in junior school, you know, he's got one more year of junior school and then he'll be going to secondary school. But I said to him, listen, I was like, if you know what the people, your friends or people around you, the influence that you might have around you, if you know what they're doing is wrong, and you know within yourself that it is wrong and you don't want to do it, don't do it. Don't feel pressured, don't feel, you know, don't feel that like society, don't feel that peer pressure or that thing of like, you know, I have to do it because all my friends are doing it, all my mates are doing it or whatever. If you feel within yourself that you're not happy about it and you don't want to do it, don't do it. Like, you know what is right, you know. Always say to him, like, you know what is right and, you know, right from wrong. You know what I mean? You know what is, you know what you're supposed to do and what you're not supposed to be doing. You know?
But sometimes, you know, like when you're with some friends and they want you to do something a bit and if you don't, you know, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what I mean. But that's why I had to explain this to him. I was like, you can still be friends with people, you know, they can still be your friends and stuff. Doesn't mean that you're going to always agree with everything they do or they say. And that is a part of life. And once you start, the younger you are, that's why I have these conversations with him, because of like the younger you understand this. Like I even say to him the other day, it's like, oh, you know, you're talking about opinions and this kind of thing the other day. And I just said to him, I was like, listen, love, everyone has an opinion. Doesn't mean it's right or doesn't mean it's wrong. It's their opinion. Yeah? You either agree with it or you don't agree with it. And it's just as simple as that. It doesn't mean that you have to stop, like, seeing that person or you can't be friends with that person. You can't, you know, etc. You know, it just means that you're just you're different. That's all it means. You think slightly differently. That's all it is. Like, so to him, like, don't worry about what people think, because in life, people are always going to have something to say or some kind of opinion, whether it be good or bad. It doesn't mean, like I said again just now, like, it doesn't mean if it's true or it's false. Yeah, it doesn't matter. As long as you know yourself. This is what I was even, you know, this is what I was saying to him. You know, even at his young age, I said to him, as long as you know yourself and you know who you are as a person, and you're honest with yourself about how you conduct yourself, how you think, how you act, how you speak, how you whatever, then you know who you are as a person. And if you know that you're messing up in certain areas, then you know you need to improve on those things, if you see what I mean. Because no one's perfect, you know? So,
you can see, like, when, you know, like, I don't know how you're finding, your son's quite young at the moment.
Yeah.
But, like, when he gets a little bit older, you might sort of, you know, because you've not had him every day of your life like it's naturally meant to be, do you know what I mean? You know, you're meant to have your children and not meant to be taken away from you to do something else. And like you think about it, when your son does go to school, you don't know what's going on. You're completely in the dark. Do you know what I mean? It's like they've been put in a cave in a kind of way. You know, I know that you go there and you kind of like see a little bit whatever, you know, and you might go to see the teachers now and get their reports and all that, do you know what I mean? You know, but really, you know, even me, personally, yeah, I would have loved it if I just stayed at home with my mum and I didn't go to school, alright? I personally believe that I would have been more intelligent.
Yeah.
That's what I reckon. Right? They taught me a lot of nonsense, okay? You know, I mean, like, they did try to teach me English, okay? Like I said, I couldn't read or write when I was at school very young, you know, I mean, a little bit. I was interested in art. I just wanted to draw, okay? I didn't want to learn really much else, you see, you know? You know, and I mean, I've taught myself to read and write, do you know what I mean? Because I'm quite an intelligent person, you know, like an artist, you think about it, they've got big imaginations.
Yeah.
You know, so I was a child with a very, very big imagination, do you know what I mean? And when I used to draw at a very early age, at 7, and things like that, I impressed the teachers, okay? They couldn't believe it, okay?
Yeah.
And they couldn't believe, you know, I was just a good artist, okay? You know, I'm not saying I'm the best in the world or anything, do you know what I mean? But you know, I was an artist, and that was it. You know, I was a daydreamer.
Yeah.
You know, when you think about it, when you daydream, it's the only time that you're advancing your own intelligence. There's no other time that you're, you know, when you're taught what to do and copying down all the time, things like this, you know, I mean, I know you're sort of like learning a little bit.
Oh, of course, yeah, because repetition is the key to learning, you know. It's the whole, it's just like when you're young, like we said before, when you're learning your ABCs or you're learning to count, you just repeat it, don't you?
Yeah, I think like royalty began in a kind of way. They were the inventors of writing. They were the inventors, okay? And like say if you, I mean like 100 years ago in Great Britain, okay, a lot of people couldn't read and write.
Yeah.
Or maybe 200 years ago. Let's go back 200 years.
Yeah, 200 years.
Lots of people couldn't read and write. It was only the people that was to do with government could read and write.
Oh yeah, certain individuals could, yeah.
It was, then they started teaching the public it.
Oh yeah.
Teaching, I mean
well, because they started creating jobs and all these various different things, it was a requirement for people to be able to write, you know, they needed to be able to read and write. Yeah. If you see what I mean, in society, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, but do we really? You know, I know it's invented, you see, again, just like the gun, writing was invented.
But even today we write predominantly not like we used to write.
I think like writing...
Even that's changed. We write via email, we write via text, we write via WhatsApp, we write via social media, Instagram and this type of shit. People, the large majority of people today that actually sit down with a pen and paper, it's quite, you know what I mean? Obviously at school you have to do that. If you're at school, you have to use a pencil or a pen when you're at school. But going on from that today, how things have advanced today, a lot of people don't really sit down with a pen and paper and write something, do they? They write it out in their notes and their phone or their, you know, or, you know.
But in a kind of way, writing itself has caused a lot of problems in a kind of way. You know, you get like all these court letters, you know, and they're saying things about you that's not true. It's kind of, you know, do you know what I mean? They manipulate things with writing.
Yeah.
And they put stamps on it, do you know what I mean? It's awful. Do you know what I mean? I find. You know, and you know, can you imagine if every bit of paper in the world burnt up? Yeah. You know what I mean? You know, and we wouldn't have any records left, you know what I mean? Or anything, you know, like, we got records, right? And I'll tell you another thing, you know, like, I don't really know much about my background, family, okay? My history,
your ancestry.
Well, I know that my nan and granddad, okay? But beyond that, I don't really know.
Okay.
Right, yeah? But if I went, they know. They got records of it all. They've been keeping records for hundreds of years.
For hundreds of years, yeah. The census has been around for a few hundred years.
I know, you know, like, they can, if I went and paid for it, okay, I'd go and look at my records and find out. Do you know what I mean?
You could,
They got it all.
Yeah.
Somewhere, okay? They keep records of all
Yeah.
You know, like, as soon as I'm born, okay, I get a birth certificate and they get a birth certificate and then it goes to another office, okay, and then it goes to another office, whatever, and they write it down somewhere there.
That's it.
Right, and they know my family record.
Oh yeah, your family lineage, your like
but they tell us nothing. You know, you've got to pay for it. If you want something, you've got to pay for it.
Yeah, exactly. It comes back down to money again. Yeah.
You know, you've got to realise that these people up here, they're the inventors of writers. You know, they give us. Got a library, got the cemetery. And when I go into the library, I think, what a load of rubbish. You know, honestly, I do. I think, you know, people going in there or whatever, you know, and I think, what, you know, if you've got the internet now, do you know what I mean? You know, you don't need the library anymore, you don't need one book. You know?
Yeah.
It's...
But having said that, there are some books available still today, like hard copies of books that you can't get an audio book of it, or you can't find it, if you see what I mean. But usually those books are quite expensive as well, because you won't be able to get it online. You won't be able to find it like an audio book on an app store or Kindle or any of these things that exist today that are like online, like reading material and stuff like that.
But writing is an art.
That is changing though, like you said, you know, even more so today, where everything is digital. A lot of communication today is purely digital, you know, so, yeah.
I mean, I know that the people up there don't like us. We're the enemy.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
We're the enemy. That's that. They don't like us, alright, I know it. You know, I mean, it's like me getting arrested for saying hi to my daughter from across the road. You know, and they treated me like dirt.
Absolute madness, yeah.
You know, and I had no say in the matter, whatever, in the courts, I got no representing, do you know what I mean? It was disgusting. You know, and I wonder why they treated me like that, do you know what I mean? You know, they might have looked at my records and treated me like shit. Because my mum got divorced, maybe, do you know what I mean? They do treat people like that.
Yeah.
You know, they look at your records and... You know,
of course, of course. Your family history whatever, your family history, all your prior...
Like I say, I feel like, you know, like the way I was treated for saying hi to my daughter from across the road, I only got a letter a week before and I didn't really open it, whatever that letter, right?
Yeah.
And then I got arrested for it, and then I got questioned by 5 people in the prison, whatever, do you know what I mean? And I was in there for 23 hours. I was really treated badly, like, and I was a father to the, you know, I was there when she was born, do you know what I mean? A few years earlier. And I just know that I was treated like a criminal when I just feel like I was violated. Yeah. I feel like I was violated when I went to school getting locked up. My first, you know, year at school. I feel violated for going to school. No one should go to school. No one. That's the truth of it, alright? We can learn English a different way, you know, than go, you know, closing our kids off to a cave and then not being, you know, it's not no point having children if they got to be sent away. Do you know what I mean? To go to school and learn all the time. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. What's the point of having children?
Well, it's just indoctrination, mate. That's all it is. It's the indoctrination system, as we always know. Like you go through.
I'm telling you.
Even today, people start school as early as 4 or 5 years old. And you're going to school 5 days a week from 9 to 3:30 every day, you know, 8:45 to